Hello and welcome to this Dr. Frost Maths key skill video on identifying cube numbers. Now in the previous video we looked at square numbers and we saw that square numbers is where we could draw the dots in a square. So we could have a 1 by 1 square, we could have a 2 by 2 square, we could have a 3 by 3 square. And we can see the number of squares here. We've just got one row of 1 times 1, which is 1, 2 rows of 2 here, so we've got 2 times 2, which is 4 squares, and here we've got 3 rows of 3, which is 3 times 3, which is 9 squares. And remember that these were called square numbers. Now we could extend this idea to 3 dimensions. Instead of using squares, we could use cubes. So let's try and do that. If I draw a 1 by 1 cube, it looks like that. If I draw a 2 by 2 cube, or I should say 2 by 2 by 2 cube, and what I mean by that is it's 2 along, 2 up, and 2 across like that. That's another bigger cube, and then let's just do a slightly bigger cube, a 3 by 3 by 3 cube. We get this. Now let's think how many little cubes are in each of these bigger cubes. Well, that's clearly just one cube, so that's just one. What about in this one? Well, if we look at each layer, can we see each layer of cubes? There's 4 cubes there, isn't there? 4 cubes at the front. And we know it's 4 because, look, we've got 2 rows of 2. So the number of cubes on the front would be 2 lots of 2 because we've got 2 rows of 2. But how many layers of cubes have we got? Well, we can see there's a layer of cubes at the front, and then we've got another layer of cubes at the back. That's going to be another lot of 4 cubes. So this amount here, we need to times it by 2 because we've got 2 layers of cubes. And if you do 2 times 2 times 2, that is going to be 8. Now what about this one? Well, if we look again at one layer of cubes, we can see we've got 3 rows of 3 on the front layer of this big cube. So we'll have 3 times 3, which is 9 cubes. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's 9 cubes at the front, but we've got 3 layers of it. Look, we've got a layer here of cubes, another layer of 9 cubes, and another layer of 9 cubes. Each slice is 9 cubes. So we have to times that by 3, and that's going to give us 27. Now, these numbers here, the 1, the 8, and the 27, these are known as cube numbers, unsurprisingly, because that number of little cubes, you can make a bigger cube from that. Now I advise that you learn all the cube numbers up to the 5th one. So let's learn the first 5 cube numbers. Well, to get the 1, we could write that as 1 times 1 times 1 to follow this pattern here. And another way you could write 1 times 1 times 1 is 1 cubed. So what that cube there means, and we do that in a separate video, that just means you times 1 by itself 3 times. And we saw that was just 1. The second cube number is 2 cubed. That means 2 multiplied by itself 3 times, and 2 times 2 times 2 is equal to 8. What about 3 cubed? That's 3 times 3 times 3. And that's 27. That's how many cubes we had here. Now let's extend this to the 5th one, because we should learn up to the 5th cube number. 4 cubed, and that little 3 there means you times 4 by itself 3 times. Now 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. And then finally, 5 cubed, that is 5 multiplied by itself 3 times. And 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again, 25 times 5 is 125. So those are the first 5 cube numbers, and I highly recommend that you memorize these so you don't have to work it out each time.